This is part 3 of Marasenna, Destiny 2 lore. You can catch part 1 and 2 in my channel. I'm Fefinator, thank you for tuning in. Mara kicks off Yang Lui's forward shield, aiming astern and inward, so she will cross the void to the ship's spine in a long, slow curve. Oh, come on, Old One says, in delight as much as horror. You really do this all the time. All the time. Yang is a big ship, newer than the antique trucks used in the Exodus missions. Project Amrita demanded the cutting edge of human science. It says that in the mission charter, which everyone's been rereading. The captain has called a vote. Should Yang Lui return home? What if the ship starts accelerating? Old One has already, of course, leapt after her. His envoy yellow soft suit glows with gentle bioluminescence. We'd just fall forever. We'd fall into the stars. We're still on a solar escape trajectory. Yang would just outrun us. At least we'd still be going the right direction. She doesn't think she's given anything away, but somehow he knows. Mara. He looks up from frowning, his face bigger and brighter than the distant sun. You want to go back, don't you? You're going to vote to return. Mara thinks that if she looked him in the eye, he would see the truth, the turmoil, the half-formed eyes. Mara, you don't have to tell me how. He swallows the hitch in his voice. I've seen how bad it is. I've watched it long enough to know that it's not going to get better. They're gambling everything on the Traveler. We came out here to get away from it, to step off the easy path. Why would we go back? Because I asked us to leave, Mara thinks. Because something came out of the deep space and killed the man next to me, and I saw the omen, and I said we should go. And now I feel like a coward. We might make a difference, she says. There are other ships. We'd be dead before we saved a single soul. He's right. She doesn't want him to be right, but he's right. And she cannot withdraw into some silent space where she is above this choice. They drift in silence until Yang Lui's silver stem rushes up to meet them. Mara spins, uncoils, and lands in a crouch. Old One comes down on his hands and springs up, grinning, but the smile dies when he sees her expression. Oh, Mara. She's silent. We left everything behind, he says. And it turns out we did that for a very good reason. We don't owe those people our deaths. We don't owe them our dreams. I know, she says. I know. The EVA guard channel pops into her sensorium. Everyone should get inside, Captain Li calls. Our friend is closing in on us and we need to maneuver. The stars have gone out. The universe blackened. A shroud of nothingness drawn over Yang Lui. Its 40,000 sleeping passengers, its 900 crew, and maybe even the whole solar system. There's no way to know because there's no way to see anything beyond the hole. The vacuum itself has become hostile to the propagation of light. Darkness surrounds them. The ship bucks on a storm sea as a space-time ripples with gravity tides. Report! Captain Li calls. Her sensorium blazes with positional telemetry from ring laser gyros, beacon satellites, pulsar fixes, cosmic microwave background texture, galactic EM field terrain mapping. Every single instrument useless. Crashed. Spitting nonsense. Sound off by stations. Fido, the flight dynamic officer calls. Main engine on safe. Thrusters firing erratically. Altitude control keeps crashing to manual. Guidance, I have no position. I cannot get a vector. We're moving, but I cannot tell how or where. Inco, no external comms. Internal networks are dropping in and out. An incredible sensation washes over Captain Li. A rumble and a thrum down in her gut, in her marrow, and her lowest, basest elements of her body. It is the vibration, the sound of the very fabric of her being scrunching up and stretching out. The distance between the atoms of her body collapses, then expands. The cycle repeats again and again. For a moment, she feels her fingertips and toes pulled away from her core, yanked by tidal forces. It feels like the lowest rumble of the biggest subwoofer ever built. It sounds like the deep voice of God whispering ASMR directly into her ear. It tingles, it thrills, and it leaves in its wake a subsonic tint of dread and anticipation. She shivers. Gravity wave, she says. Talk to me, Geode. The space-time geodesics officer looks like she's just been hand-delivered a Nobel. This is amazing! She crowds, fully aware that she and everyone else are about to die, but transported away from such temporal concerns by scientific rapture. Can you feel that growl? We're experiencing high-frequency, high-amplitude gravity waves, phaeton strikes, axions decaying through the hull, sterile neutrinos. It's all coming from a source that bearing a 05 Mark 030 relative range highly variable. Another wave tears through Yang Lue. Everything in the ship simultaneously compresses and stretches as the gravity wave deforms the space-time metric. Is it the Phantom? Li demands as her ship thrums subsonically. Is the Phantom ship emitting these waves? I have no idea, Geode says exultantly. None of this makes any sense at all. Wow! Alice Li has the distinct sense that something ancient and malevolent is operating upon them. A trillion-fingered hand reaching in to caress the very atoms of their being, setting protons a-spin, strumming nerves like guitar strings. A tongue with 10 billion slithering forks tasting the surface of their brains. The sense of imminent doom crescendos. She knows absolutely and utterly that what is about to happen to her and to her crew is far worse than death. The darkness knows them now. The thing that has come to kill humanity has their taste. Inko! She clings to her restraint harness as the ship growls through another wave. Her bones creak as they stretch. Last report on the Traveler? Any signs of an intervention? It was at Earth, Captain, and there were high-yield weapon discharges all over the signal. Nothing else. Understood. Well, she did not fly this far to look back and beg for salvation from an alien god. Pinned to the center of her sensorium is the blazing ledger of her crew's vote. We go onward. We do not return home. Our fate lies ahead, not behind. Launch an antenna, she orders. I want every probe and satellite we've got outside. Captain, Inko protests. The vacuum is not signal permissive. We're still passing signals internally, aren't we? Use hardline. Run filament between the satellites. I want a transmitter sail out there, and I want to broadcast. Her flight crew stares. Captain? Fido says. Broadcast what? A declaration of neutrality. Alice Li grits her teeth against another wave. It rattles her molars in her skull. Whatever's out there, it came for the Traveler. We tell it we are not a part of this war. We've succeeded from the human existence under the Traveler. We demand to be treated as a separate species, not party to baseline humanity's conflicts. And we pray there is something out there that cares about the difference. She remembers everything about the moment she is born. She has gone outside Yang Lue to die in starlight. She cannot bear to let anyone see her fear or her awe at the scale of destruction or her pity for the billions of souls dying in the dark back around Seoul. She cannot be among the other crew as they cling to each other and whisper reassurances. Not even with her mother. She cannot surrender to her misery. So, she kicks off the hull on 50 kilometers of tether, but there's no starlight to die in. The darkness is absolute. Gravity waves tug on her line, pulling her back towards Yang and then hurling her away. At times, she feels another vibration in the line. Sister, the tether transmits. I'm coming out to get you. Brother, she thinks. You'll lose yourself trying to follow me. Captain Li's voice breaks through the static, drawn out to a mumble and then compressed to a shriek. Spikes of hard radiation go through her words like bullets, spattering phonemes into eerie compression artifacts. This is the interstellar vessel Yang Lue to the entity interacting with us. We are not involved in your dispute with the powers around this star. We are on a mission to begin a new life elsewhere. Our purpose is orthogonal to yours. We request your indifference. Mara's tether trembles with Oldwin's progress. She holds it in one hand and reaches out with the other, gripping the emptiness, feeling how the tides of broken space pull at her fingertips. She senses that the nothingness around her is not indifferent, that it is aware of all purposes, and that its own purpose encompasses them. It is infinitely hostile because it must be. Suddenly, as if the void around her has just spontaneously big banged, she sees light. A point of pure white shines in the cosmic distance, not just visible luminance. Her suit decomposes the spectrum. but light in the radio bands and microwave kneeing ultraviolet, a spike of gamma, a total and all-embracing radiation. It sings, it chatters, it speaks in a voice older than suns. She feels that she could furrier the voice for a century and never decompose it into its parts. It is awesome and appalling and piercingly true. Mara understands how those who die in radiation accidents must feel. A single flash of invisible power sears away all possible futures except one. She feels her soul itself has been ionized, blasted into a higher energy state. The light pierces the darkness, not like the sunrise, not like a wall or a flood, but a single crepuscular ray, a finger of radiance that reaches out through the deepest night to touch her. It illuminates Mara, Oldwin, and Yang Lue. It is not quite enough. It cannot vanquish the shadow. Thus, Mara finds herself drifting on the edge of the light and the darkness, on the dusk and dawn gradient between the two. She feels a contest, a battle fought, an equilibrium reached, not a truce, but an infinite limit, an equation dividing by zero, a collision of two violent eternities. Mara queries Yang Lue for telemetry, and her sensorium fills with a terrified scream of gravitational instruments. She howls to a feral sound, ecstatic and lost, a wolf baying at the stars. She knows what's going to happen. Too much power is gathered here. The universe is appalled by the paradox. Nothing that has glimpsed this collision of infinitudes can be allowed to escape. The cosmos must censor its embarrassment. It must sequester the anomaly. The slope of warped space-time around them has become too steep, and now every path outward or forward bends back to the center of where light and dark collide. The definition of future has become synonymous with the definition of inward. This is why it's called an event horizon, or an object within the horizon. The path of all future things that can be done or seen leads inevitably down to the center. All events lead inward. A singularity is forming around her, a Kugelblitz, a black hole created by a concentration of raw energy. Mara! Oldwin shouts. Mara, you're too far out! Mara thinks of her mother's face. She hears Osana say, I can't watch over you like a mother would. I have to make my own choices. She fires the detach command into the tether. Gravity seizes her. She falls forward in space and time, into the future, into the mystery. Yang Lue is behind her. Oldwin is behind her. She wants to be the first. To occur the unhappened world. To grip glass-hooped eternity in blood-slick hands and snap it from its circle. Know her as the flaw, the isotropy, the spike that pierced the eternal reoccurrence and made the wound of time. Tautologies end on her fingertips in the crease between skin and nail. Name her Alilia, broth captain. Begin with her subcreation. First, a mandala. Rings of rippled light. Pinpricks like stars. Selected elements of a Li group. The math skeleton of this new place. What is this? Where am I? A sheet of paper, blank with static. Her hands flat upon the face. A plasma of quarks and electrons. So hot and bright that it is pitch black. The mean free path is too short for photons to travel. The fire is too thick for light. She has been here forever. Alilia. The end is the beginning is the end. She folds the paper into space and time. Now that there is light, she can read the paper, and she finds it is the Amrita Charter. Sun is the cradle of life, but we cannot remain in the cradle forever. She was a seeker, the eye of Alilia, the arrow that points to new worlds. She sought new sun, new earth. Her mind passes across the words like a comb. Word becomes world. Paper folds under nimble hands. The sting of a paper cut. So God may yet be surprised. From that cut, her blood scatters through the void, and the isotropic universe nucleates around her droplets. I am Alilia. the guiding principle. Bend the center. I am Alisila, the arrow of time, sinuous but progressing. I am Alice Li. I am Alisili, one step forward, one element changed. This is how the word clock ticks, by the letter-wise permutation of secret names. I am Alice Li, the coalescence into entities, the compaction of drifting fire into sun and world. I am Alice Li, the power that seeks new worlds. I have a crew. I had a ship. I wanted to bring them to a place like a paradise world, twin-ringed, impossible beauty, in a sky milk bright with stars. She makes it real with a thought, and in that thought she falls herself, undoes her transient divinity, binds herself and all those after her into the law. The omniscient cannot explore. The omnipotent cannot struggle. She refuses that God trap. This is how Alice Li awakens. She was nothingness. If she existed before, she existed only as possibility stretched across aether. Once there might have been a body that was an anticipation of the body not yet formed, and a soul that was an anticipation of the soul not yet encrypted, but they were not yet real. Then the universe began, and she was free to be born. First, there is a mandala, and upon the rings of that mandala are star-bright gems. M-A-R-A-R-A-M. The closed symmetry secret within itself, and she cuts it off center so that it is imperfect, open at one end, not cycling back to its own beginning, but subliming away into future possibility. M-A-R-A. The permutation of one relationship into another, M-A becoming R-A, R-A becoming what may yet come. 2 points suggest a line. With that amputation around that scar, she incarnates, awakens with a gasp, cold stone under her shoulders and back and a face above her, radiant. Mara? The face says. What am I? Mara whispers. The second, the woman says. I'm Alice. I think you are Mara. The sky behind Alice blooms with stars, a haze of light like sun through mist, richer than a galactic core. Across that night sky arches the impossible twin shape of a double planetary ring. Mara gapes in wonder. I remember, she says. I was on a tether. The sudden need to keep this memory secret shuts her mouth. We're on a world, she says instead. How long have you been alone? Forever, I think. Come. She draws Mara to her feet. I want to show you what I have found. It is a world that grows, a world that thrives. The stone is rich with vines of platinum, and Mara tastes tingling inclusions of transuranic elements in a fingertip of earth. Silver rivers flow in fractal deltas to lakes as still and bright as coolant pools. Acres of forest all woven at the root into a single tree. There is life of such variety and energy that each new crawling thing they see must be its own species. Or species do not mean anything at all here, and all that lives may intermingle. Jutting from the horizon is a titanic metal spear. The head of the spear is a metal dish, kilometers across, buried in bedrock. I don't know what this is, Alice says. I only know that it's mine. They pass inside. There should be others, Mara says afterward. There was room for others. Thousands of others. Where are they? They're in the same place you came from. We have to make them real. Lee stares at Mara, and coruscations of white fire map the tiny lines and furrows of her skin. Her bright eyes narrow. Why were you the second? Why you in particular? I don't know. Mara lies. It is the first lie ever told. The first secret kept. Part 3 coming soon. If you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. Drop a like. You can catch me live Monday through Friday on mixer.com/Feffinator.